Hello, Roman Onigan with you. From previous videos, we learned that there are three types of waves developing in the motive mode: an impulse, a leading diagonal, and an ending diagonal. We have already figured out the impulse and the leading diagonal. In this video, we consider the rules for the ending diagonal. We remember that the leading diagonal usually appears at the beginning of trends, that is, in the wave 1 position of impulses and in the wave A position of zigzags. In contrast, the ending diagonal appears at the end of the trend, that is, in the wave 5 position of impulses as shown here, or in the wave C position of zigzags as you see here. Extremely rarely, the final diagonal appears in the wave C position in the flat. If you find the ending diagonal on the market, then we can conclude that the previous trend is nearing its completion and will soon begin a new corrective wave or a new trend in the opposite direction. Since the ending diagonals are clearly distinguishable in the market, it is possible and necessary to use them in trading because it is possible to accurately determine the point of completion of the previous trend. Now let's consider a set of rules for the ending diagonal. Rule number 1. The final diagonal always consists of 5 subwaves, and all of them are signed with numbers, like all the waves of the motive mode. Second rule, the wave formula of the ending diagonal is as follows. That is, we see that all the subwaves of the ending diagonal are formed in the corrective mode. But here I would like to make one important clarification. The first, third, and fifth subwaves of an ending diagonal are always zigzags. We remember that in a wedge or leading diagonal, 1, 3, and 5 waves develop in a motive mode, and they are usually impulses. This is what distinguishes the ending diagonal mainly from the leading diagonal. To better illustrate the following rule, we will start drawing the pattern of the ending diagonal again. So the third rule, the second wave of an ending diagonal is always shorter than wave 1. Fourth rule, wave 3 always goes beyond the end of wave 1. Fifth rule, the fourth wave of the ending diagonal always ends in the zone between the ends of waves 1 and 2. In other words, the fourth wave ends in the area between these horizontal lines. As for the fifth wave in the ending diagonal, it can be both truncated, that is, not to reach the end of wave 3 as shown here, and not truncated, that is, to pierce the end of wave 3. This distinguishes the ending diagonal from the leading diagonal. We remember that in the leading diagonal, the fifth wave will always pierce the end of wave 3 and is never truncated. In short, the strict rule about the fifth wave is only for the leading diagonal, where the fifth wave is never truncated, and in the ending diagonal and in the impulse, it can be either truncated or non-truncated. Sixth rule, the third wave in the ending diagonal is never the shortest in comparison with waves 1 and 5. And the seventh rule concerns the location of the ending diagonal. It can be located only in the wave 5 position of impulses or in the wave C position of zigzag. Now let's see how these rules are executed for the descending pattern. The descending ending diagonal also consists of 5 subwaves. The wave formula is exactly the same, that is, it consists of 5 waves formed in the corrective mode. And the first, third, and fifth waves are always zigzags. Wave 2 of the ending diagonal is always shorter than wave 1. Wave 3 always goes beyond the end of wave 1. The fourth wave ends in the area between the ends of waves 1 and 2, and the fifth wave can be either truncated or not. First, check that wave 3 in the ending diagonal is not the shortest among waves 1 and 5. As for the location, the descending pattern also appears in the wave 5 position of impulses or in the wave C position of zigzag. Thus, the main difference between the ending diagonal and the leading one is that the 1, 3, and 5 waves of the ending diagonal take the form of zigzags. And in the leading diagonal, these waves are motive and are formed in the form of impulses. Another difference concerns the location of the pattern. The leading diagonal appears at the beginning of trends, and the ending diagonal appears at the end of trends. As for the correct labeling of the ending diagonal, it is also performed as for the leading diagonal. That is, 2 generating lines are drawn from the beginning to the end of the pattern. The generating line is drawn through the tops of waves 1 and 3. The second generating line is drawn through the tops of waves 2 and 4. As for the descending pattern, here the forming lines are carried out in the same way. That is, through vertices 1 and 3 and through vertices 2 and 4 from the beginning to the end of the pattern. We learned the rules for ending diagonal. Now we are familiar with the three types of waves which are formed in the motive mode. These are the impulse, the leading, and the ending diagonals. In the next lesson, we will begin to consider the waves formed in the corrective mode. And I remind you that this video course is devoted to the theory of wave analysis. If you want to learn the practical part, then come to my personal training site. Click the like button and subscribe to my channel. Once again, this has been Roman Onegin with you, so until we meet again, bye for now.